that would make me any more happier than what those 3 girls could bring me each and every single day of my life. We lose sight of that, man. That's what we lose sight of. And I know that you guys can't put it into perspective like that because you don't have kids, but you guys have each other. You have a girlfriend. Johnny, you know what I'm saying, man? Like, and I have you guys.
Not to sound fucking weird. I feel interconnected.
I've come to talk with you again.
I feel interconnected.
Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping.
Oh shit, give me a second here, fam.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies. We are here in my basement, in the middle of America, the heart of America, that pumps the blood into each and every one of you souls and individuals in the United States is blood, if that makes any sense.
What?
I don't know.
Blood
man.
moves the wheels of progress, whatever. Daniel Day-Lewis.
We make it happen here in the middle of America, which is that's just all I'm saying is we make it happen, man. Come to
Except
Missouri.
for your football that was built in China.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Everything's made in China. Hopefully that changes sometime soon, but we'll see. Tariffs and shit like that. But what's going on, everyone? What's going on, all our junkies? Jesse's a little tired over here. We'll see how he does tonight. If there was a Madden rating right now, Jesse would be injured, and he would be on the bench. Yes. But I think he's going to make it through tonight. And I will not say the S word, the F word. Yeah, the S or the F word.
So many people are confused right now.
I won't say any way, shape, or form. I won't, man. That intro last week was epic. But anyways, we're kind of free balling it tonight, you guys. The last probably 100 podcasts have been about, for the most part, maybe not the last, because we've had some different podcasts about different things, mental health.
90%.
Yeah, 90% have been about government and how we feel about it and just our ideas and stuff like that. So I think tonight we're going to try and do something a little different, and we'll see how it goes. But what's going on, guys?
Absolutely nothing. I've been building a fucking PC for what feels like 2 days. So yeah, it's done though.
Nice.
It's done.
That's what it's about, man.
It's done. Gaming PC, which has nothing to do with anything we talk about on
We don't
here,
have to talk about the government. We don't have to talk about crazy shit. You can enjoy. You build a gaming PC. I went and got to go shooting with an old friend from college. Literally a guy I haven't seen in 8 years.
I didn't know that Jeff lives right by me, man.
Yeah.
Right by me. Literally a quarter mile. It's crazy. I've been walking with my kids, and he's just driving his truck, and I'm like, what's up, man? What's going on? What's going on in B-Town, dude? What are you guys' thoughts, man? With so I think one of the largest industries for auto loans is I forget the name.
Capital One.
No, it's not Capital One. Damn it, I forget. But anyways,
Ally Auto.
No, it's a big bank.
Okay.
It's not Wells Fargo or J.P. Morgan. I'm
Chase. Actually, that is J.P. Morgan.
Anyways, they're not going to give loans anymore. I mean, they're done with auto loans.
Good.
The amount of delinquent payments on cars right now is absolutely astronomical.
You know why there's delinquent payments on cars?
Because just probably because they charge you too much.
No, because you give loans to people who can't make loan payments. If you can't afford a car,
all the teenagers that we know,
we know someone
who
specifically
make poor financial decisions.
But hold on,
we know. I'm not going to bring them up by name. Not going to bring them up by name, but we know someone specifically who went by theirself and got super screwed over at a car dealership and ended up paying $35,000 on a 7-year loan for a $28,000 car that's not even worth $28,000 as soon as you drive it off the lot, kind of thing. Man, I've always said loans are garbage anyways, and places should stop doing loans. People should stop taking out loans. And if everyone were to stop doing loans, then you get prices way lower on everything.
Do you think so? In no way, loans are necessary.
No. If you were to completely, and people are going to be like, "What? That doesn't make any sense. What about your house?" Well, your house doesn't have to be $150,000 if loans don't exist.
Very true.
Literally, you make it to where loans are and obviously I don't know much about this subject matter, so I'm sure some financial expert out there would be like, yeah, that can't work, which is fine. Tell me if I'm wrong. But in general, I feel like if you get rid of the loan process completely, like just banks don't give out loans, it's not a thing that exists. You can't get loans for cars. Eventually, nobody is buying these things, so they have to go down in price somehow. But then you're going to be like, but then everything goes down in price. It completely changes the economy.
Probably for the better.
I would assume. I could be wrong. I could 100% be wrong, and someone can explain to me like why that would be bad. But in general, I think if you get rid of loans, because, I mean, we all remember the 2008 financial crisis, the 2008 housing crisis, because loans had been given out to people who they knew couldn't pay these loans. They weren't giving them 15-year fixed mortgages. They were giving them 30-year adjustable. It goes up after 7 years, and then after another 7 years, it goes up. Your percentage goes up even more. And these people literally can't afford it, but they don't care. They're like, credit score? I don't need a credit score.
So I would like to do some...
A paycheck? I don't need a paycheck. Here's a bunch of money we're going to loan you.
I would like to go back and look back in like the 50s and 60s, because there had to have been some sort of loan application or loan process where
banks were still around.
Just to see what it was like
Loans-
then.
I'm sorry if I'm going to interject here, but I think loans are absolutely necessary. You have to have loans. Loans are not some evil thing. In order to get any startup business and whether it or not, it's like giving up like
That's
partial.
that's an investment, not a loan.
Okay, but you still need loans somewhere.
I don't think you need loans. Investments, yes. I agree 100% with you on investments. Loans, I don't believe in
What
at
if
all.
nobody believes in your idea, and
Then-
you
then-
believe so wholeheartedly in your idea that this is going to work?
Then you better convince someone, or you better come up with the money.
I worked very hard for my first car. It was like a 1995 Sunbird GT. It was blue. It was my cousin's. I got a deal on it. I literally just had to put a battery in it, but I saved up that $600 and I bought it cash, man. And I think that whenever and then after I sold that car and I realized that I had to get a loan to purchase my next car, I'm like, well, fuck, man. And I went to a shitty place called Auto Now. They charge you like 20% interest on the car, 25%, something insane like that and crazy. And that's when I learned. I was like, damn, like this is what it takes. I'm 16, 17, 18. I don't have credit history and I'm just like, well, fuck, what do I do? I got to go to some janky place like Auto Now and I got to get a car with 25% interest. And that's what I did.
Or you could
I
just
remember
buy
that
an
Saturn.
$800 car.
I remember that Saturn.
No, it was
Right?
a Sunbird
You talking-
GT.
Yeah,
Wasn't
Paul-
a Saturn? I remember you having that like purple Saturn.
I did get the Saturn through Auto Now as well. And I got the
just,
minivan.
Just buy an $800 truck.
And I
Buy an
did.
$800 car.
I think the difference is nobody should be buying a car on a very, like, you put a minimum down on a fucking car. That's stupid as shit. That's ridiculous. If you can't, like, everybody wants the nicest, newest fucking shit, but
you can't afford it, you can't
nobody's
afford it.
willing to fucking do what's actually affordable for you. Because it's this image and ego fucking thing. Us as human beings, and this is the comparison between like how money comes in and how the human ego comes into play. It definitely, this is the crossroads where it fucking happens. You're worried about how you're being viewed. You're not worried about finance because your ego and you want the nicest fucking thing and this is how you want to be viewed. You don't worry about finance anymore. You need to find this fine line. Like, if you want some nice shit, well, then you need to, unless you're already born into money or have the money for it, like most people, you don't have the money for it, but you want it. So what they do is they take out a stupid-ass fucking loan for it. I'm not saying that all loans aren't fucking bullshit. I'm saying loans serve their purpose too. Not for fucking cars so much. If you really want that $20,000 sexy-ass fucking car, go and buy a fucking $2,000 beater, work your fucking dick off, go on ahead and start putting money away for it, and you can do it mathematically however it fucking works out. I'm going to get it, like, details on this. Drive the beater, and whenever you can pay that car in full, you'll appreciate it 100% more, and probably you won't be getting the same car anyway because you respect the finance side of it. The difference is do you respect the human ego of how you're viewed by other people and what you really think you want or what you can actually afford? And they should cross somewhere.
I agree. I was going to say sometimes it's, and the ego is still involved, but I think it's not so much how other people
But
view
you need to have respect for your finances first off.
But
and the ego's the instantaneous, right?
the problem I have is loans can come in small forms too. You can go to Best Buy right now, Paul. You can go to Best Buy. I wish Jesse was hearing this. He's walking around. He's walking away to take a piss or something. Oh, okay. You can go to Best Buy right now, and you want a new TV. You want a smart TV, 4K, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it costs, TVs have went down, so maybe it costs $800, right? You've got $800 cash. You can pay for it. But you don't want to put yourself in that kind of bind because for whatever reason your finances aren't in control. So what do? You get the Best Buy credit card. You buy the TV on the Best Buy credit card with money that you don't have because you can't afford it, and then you're paying $40 a month for the next year and a half to pay off an $800 TV, which now cost you $1,100 because of the interest on that credit card. You're spending $1,100 on something that you just kind of wanted that is only worth $800 and goes down in value. That's the problem I have with loans. You shouldn't buy anything that you can't fucking afford. And if everybody did that, if Best Buy didn't do loans, if banks didn't do loans, stuff has to go down. Best Buy's sales would go down because they're not cheating people out of money with all this financing stuff. So then prices have to drop.
Whenever I talked about this initially, and while I was like, man, loans aren't evil. I don't think small business loans are evil because that's, even though I think this system is a little fucked right now, but if you have a passion for your future and you don't have investors, what else are you going to do? So I'm just fucked, man.
Like Johnny said, though, the prices have to go down on everything. Everything's so expensive right now. In order to do anything to like, if you wanted to open up a restaurant, like we'll go medium-sized scale restaurant, you would have to have $1 million.
You would find an investor, though. Investors are a thing that exists.
Yeah, investors still would exist. But even then, if prices were to drop because loans no longer existed, things would be cheaper and it would be more attainable. You know how long it would take me to make $1 million? A very long time. But if we stop doing loans and the price goes down, then maybe I could obtain that amount of money to open up my own business.
Someone with money could give you that money and be like, Paul, you get this under control. You do your thing. I am risking this money because an investment is a risk. It's not a loan. It's a risk. They say, Paul, I'm going to give you $5 million to open this. But no matter what, for the rest of your life, while this restaurant exists, I get 30% of everything that comes from it.
Yeah.
Now, if it fails and you had a bad idea, they're out that $5 million, which sucks for them. But now if it's successful and it's a good idea, they're making bank off that 30% ownership. That's the point of investments. And you do that instead of having a loan process where there's literally interest that goes to nothing except the person who loaned you money.
But then you're selling a portion of your baby, basically.
So get a loan then, and then what happens when you can't pay it off? Now you go into bankruptcy. Now imaginary debt is created. Because bankruptcy doesn't pay back the people who invested that money. If you get a loan from a bank for $10,000 and then you go bankrupt and you don't have to pay them that $10,000, now they're just shit out of luck on the $10,000 either way. So why have loans when you can have investments?
I think loans, what it creates is the idea of not having to work hard at all. Honestly, like you don't.
Man, I can pay $40 a month to get this baller ass 4K TV. Dope. Who cares if it costs me $1,200 instead of $800? Cool. And then I'm at this weird, man, and then you know what? I broke my leg, lost my job, and now I can't afford the payment, which would be ridiculous because I'm talking $40 a month. But you can apply this to anything. You can apply it to a car payment. You pay $350 or $400 or $500 a month for your car payment. And then all of a sudden, you're out of work because, like Jesse always likes to say, if there's one thing that remains true in life, it's that change will happen. I'm misquoting you, paraphrasing here, but change is inevitable. You could lose your job, stuff could go wrong, and now you can't make this car payment. Now it gets repossessed. Now it goes back to the bank. Now you have to go bankrupt. Now these things don't exist. And it's like,
you could have avoided it overall.
If loans just didn't exist, that would have never happened.
Right. And then
you'd be forced into buying the fucking $800 car.
And we have to look at the bigger picture here and realize how much loans affect each and every single person that live in the United States. I'd be interested to see the numbers on how many people currently have a loan out just via themselves.
Jesse,
it affects everyone's life.
Maybe 2% of loans are substantial and exist for a reason.
Okay.
I'm not saying 100% of loans are bad. There might be 2% out there. But in general, the loans that we have right now as the average consumer are garbage.
Okay. Let me rephrase this a little bit, and maybe this will help. If you have to take out a loan to own a TV, you're a fucking idiot. If you have to take out a loan for a couch, you're a fucking idiot. That is, your ego is weighing heavier because it's momentary. You want this momentary, and you don't see the foresight of how finance and how you are interconnected with the two is not going to work out. Now, we'll say this on the other end. And I believe this a little more conservative more than a lot of people, because some people still be like, oh man, I put, fucking 60% down on my car, and I still, you're still probably overpaying for that fucking car at some point. I have never made a car payment once in my fucking life. I bought every car fucking outright. That is the best way to absolutely do it. Cars shouldn't do it either, in my opinion. Whenever it comes to houses, nobody can. Mortgages are fine. Like, I know this for a fact. You could debate me all day long. How much? Now, you shouldn't put down the minimum on a fucking house. You should have way more than the fucking minimum. My rule of thumb, which I have not bought a house yet, but what has always been my rule of thumb, is I won't even start looking for a house within the price range as far as the market goes until I know that I can pay for half of that house. Right up fucking front, that I can pay for fucking half of that house. That changes a lot of fucking variables. A house is an absolute fucking necessity. Absolute fucking necessity. We should all own property, even though we could get into other details about property and things like that. But you should own property. That is big. That is kind of the American dream a little bit. Now, what I was coming back to, a small business. If you have a dream of something and you can't get investors, you should not be completely... If you believe in something wholeheartedly enough and are willing to get into a loan scenario, I think that's different. If you have a business mentality, and this is something different. So mortgage and small business startup, you should not be so afraid of loans. But whenever it comes to a fucking TV, whenever it comes to a goddamn couch, whenever it comes to, oh man, I really want this piece of fucking furniture, but I'm going to go to a rent-a-center for it. That is idiotic to me. And honestly, the car thing is idiotic to me, too. I have never made a car payment in my fucking life. I will never do it. I will never do it. Not fucking once. I promise you that right there. There is no car that I want enough. And first of all, I love my car. I have a fucking GTI that I've modded the fuck out of. Super dope. I know there's like some small aesthetic fucking problems with it. I love the shit out of my car. There is nothing outside of that where you need to start comparing your ego and what's important. Is it the momentary need? A house is not a momentary need. A small business is not a momentary egotistical need. It is your dream. It is your dream. There is nothing wrong with dreaming of having a nice, decent house in a nice neighborhood and is willing to go into a loan for that or a mortgage for that. There is nothing wrong with having dreams of small business and you can't find investors. So you need to get a $200,000 loan. But you're super motivated and you see this where you want to be. Nobody should be discouraged by this. That's where loans should come into play.
You're drawing a line, though, and telling people...
I am drawing a line.
You're drawing a line.
This is my personal opinion. Dude, I've never made a small business loan, and I don't own a house. I don't have a mortgage.
You're going to have someone who it's my dream. It's my dream to own the new Toyota Supra for $60,000. That's my dream. So it's worth it because I truly believe in it, so I'm going to get that loan. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I get it for the small business side. I really do. I understand what you're saying. I'm making a broad, very overgeneralized statement for loans in general. There are some caveats and there are some exceptions. But even then, you run into problems of, man, if no investors in the world think your idea is good enough, there's probably only, I hate to say this, there's probably only a 1% chance you're going to succeed. So what happens now when you have this crazy idea for a restaurant where they bring you food on the backs of sharks? Nobody wants to invest. That sounds like a fucking problem. That sounds like a headache. But you say you want to do it, so you go get a small business loan, and now you never make it into the black, and 5 years in, you're in the red, you can't pay your loan, and now you have to go bankrupt.
Which probably happens a lot.
It does. Most businesses fail within most restaurants fail within the first 2 years.
I think the overarching idea, though, is if loans weren't to exist, and maybe we restructure the way that loans are implemented, and you still have the ability to give mortgages and small business loans, but you restructure the other part of all the other loans, credit cards, cars, where you go shopping, shit like that. I think if you restructure that, I think that makes more of an impact, and I think it's still at that point would still lower the cost of things.
If you want something that is okay,
but right now, Jesse, the problem is it's so easily accessible. You could be 16.
And I agree. A 16-year-old can go and fuck up their fucking future. They could study gender relevant, whatever.
Underwater basket weaving.
And they majored in gender studies. That's not going to get you fucking anywhere in life. You're just wasting money.
What if that's their dream, though?
Being that young and all of our dreams change, I think that...
I love philosophy, but it's the same shit. But gender studies and my dream of, which it's not a fucking dream, but me wanting to really fucking understand philosophy. I love philosophy. I love philosophers. I love that. But there is no money in that shit. So you have to have that fucking balance. Any relevant... we get into this all the time, this is the game we have to play, right? This is the game we absolutely have to play. Sure, we hope we change it. We all three here can be on board for hoping it changes for the better. But as of right now, you have to play by this game. And you can influence the game more through finances and if you do shit correctly. Because the one thing that we know through this, quote, capitalist nation that we're living in is that finances fucking speak. So why wouldn't you focus on finances and then some point in your life you're able to donate into the things that you find meaningful and you're able to put money into there. And this is absolutely the long run.
Very Dave Ramsey right now.
No, I'm
Which is good. No, that's a good
a
thing.
lot of beliefs off Dave Ramsey. I'm basing a lot of the beliefs that I have off Dave Ramsey because he makes very fucking good sense. Now, he doesn't go back and talk about the gold standard and shit that we've talked about with Pat and shit like that, which are really good podcasts. If anybody's listening to this right now, you need to go back and listen to anything from Truth, Money, Freedom that we've had on here. It's really, really good. Really, really good. Pat and I'm sorry, I can't remember the other Brandon. Really, really good podcast that we've had on here. But you still have to, as of right now, play by this game. And we can all agree that it's shitty, but you have to play by this. The whole point is you cannot let your ego get into something that's unnecessary.
I think that's huge.
A car is necessary, but you don't need to spend $20,000 on a car whenever you're making 30 fucking grand a year. That makes no fucking sense. You can get a car. You can get a car, depending on where you're living, I guess. There are some living scenarios that make that more difficult.
Anyone can get a car.
Anybody can get a car. The difference is we have this social aspect, which our ego is directly connected to the social aspect that we have within life. So, to where oh man, this beater, 1991 Honda that I'm showing up to my work and I'm trying to save up for a house in my future and I'm trying to invest money correctly and I'm trying to make myself something more than what it is on a financial level. And you should be working, it should go, in my opinion, your mental progression on what everything is, spiritual, and then fucking finances, is probably the third one. And whenever I say spiritual, I'm not talking about some religious thing, but those first two are more interconnected for me. But I don't want to go down that road. You
have to, what you're describing right now, and if we have to live in the current status quo and continue to do this for a long period of time, you're going to see the same result. Nothing really is going to change because not all 16 and 18-year-olds, whenever we were all that age, we were never taught really at all on what to do financially. And that's not going to change at all. That's not going to change. So what Johnny and I are talking about, which I think is a great idea, and if more people got caught wind of it and actually started talking to people within their own communities and then people started talking about it too, is precisely what the idea is that people shouldn't be granted, when I turn 18, I shouldn't be granted access to $200 of Kohl's credit to fuel my ego to buy clothes so I look good so I can get a chick.
What's so shitty is obviously this isn't taught in schools. But us as you're a parent to children. This is now your duty to tell your kids about how corrupt this actually works. And nobody should go and get a pair of jeans on fucking loan. That's even more ridiculous. I said a couch. I said a TV. The smaller you go, the more ridiculous it fucking is. If you're getting into a loan for a pair of fucking jeans, that is insane.
By the way,
is
to anybody out there,
insane.
if you're using
What 18-year-old knows that?
hold up, if you're, I want to specify, if you're using a credit card to buy jeans, that's
By
a
the way,
loan.
you get Kohl's Cash though whenever
off.
you use them.
Fuck off. If you use a credit
It's all
card to
a
get
fucking
jeans,
scam.
if you use credit card to get jeans, that is a loan. That is a loan. That is money you do not have.
Kohl's credit card, Victoria's Secret credit card, Macy's credit card.
All of it.
No,
Any
even
card-
just a,
any
no, even
credit
just a regular
card.
one. Capital One.
Oh, they're
Doesn't
gonna
matter.
say, oh, you can get whatever you want. You can get whatever you want, but you're gonna end up paying so much more for this fucking thing you never really fucking needed in the first place. You don't need these things.
There are smarter people who do have the money and use those credit cards to the advantage to get cash back, shit like that. But no, that's the 1%. You know, people who actually know how to use it towards their advantage, like you talked about.
Hold
earlier.
up, hold up,
A
hold up.
lot-
I'm gonna quote something that Dave. I'm gonna paraphrase something that Dave Ramsey says real quick.
I love Dave Ramsey, by the way.
If you think that you figured it out, you're like, you know what I'm gonna do? This credit card gives me 2% cash back, which is good. They give me 2% cash back, and they give me miles. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy everything with the credit card, but I'm gonna pay it off the same day. I'm gonna pay it off the day of, so I never pay interest. I'm fucking beating it. I'm gonna tell you exactly what Dave Ramsey says, which is, if you really think you're beating the credit card companies, you really think you're getting over on them, that you're like, man, I pulled the wool over their eyes. I really showed them. No, you're giving them your information, all kinds of marketing, advertising. They're now making money from you in ways that you don't fucking know. Mm-hmm. So no, it's not, dude. That 1% cash back, you're losing. You're losing more money by using that credit card. You are not so sly that you are tricking the credit card companies and think that you've broken the system.
Well, I was thinking that more along the lines that there will be a few people who can reap the benefits of those advantages, but most people will not go in line with that and they'll end up owing with interest.
Honestly, I should get rid of my Bank of America credit card that I have right now. I have it. I've never paid any interest on it. I have been a dumbass, and I paid the annual fee that comes along with it.
Fuck
which is
annual fees, bro. Fuck that. I will never pay to have.
I think it's like
ever.
$25. It's like $25 or $30. I will say the one upside to it.
So you're paying a $30 subscription a year that you don't use.
Yes, basically. The one upside that has happened is I will say the one upside, which there's typically with anything, it's not purely bad. And it's not purely good either with anything. And I will say the purely good thing, which does not weigh out on... So it's agreeing with Johnny. The one thing that happened to me was I didn't have any cash on me. And my debit card was... I'm trying to remember the name of it. Under... Like they had to shut it off because
Like
there was
fraud alert or whatever?
Fraud alert, and it shut off my debit card. And I couldn't use my debit card. And I didn't have any cash on me. Nobody wants to be put in that scenario. It's very awkward in a purchasing scenario, whether or not you're at a restaurant or just trying to buy some shit from Quick Trip. You immediately, once again, ego comes into play. I think this is the biggest thing, is that human ego comes into play with finances, and it's a comparison between the two. But I had that credit card available that wasn't shut down, and I was able to use that. That
It's
is
an
the
emer-
one
it's-
benefit.
Hold up,
It's an emergency.
Hold up. I'm right away.
But once again, there was a better argument against even having that, to where you just don't make that purchase.
Right away. No, even if you want to make the purchase, screw it. Right away, though, devil's advocate, so your card got shut off, right? So now you're using a credit card. And I know I'm getting out there, and some people are like, that sounds absurd. Yeah, well, think about it and actually try it and see how it goes. Why don't you just have 2 bank accounts? 2 checking accounts.
As opposed to 10
because
credit cards.
By the way, your credit card can get shut off too. What happens if you're somewhere and your debit card gets shut off and your credit card gets shut off? That can happen. So
From two different banks,
You're
yeah.
now speaking in like just hypotheticals. But you know what happens, and I'm speaking in hypotheticals. You know what happens if your debit card gets shut off? Use your other debit card, which is actually still cash in a bank account that is your cash and not credit and not a loan.
It's very true.
If you're going to have 2 cards in your wallet, why not have them both be cash?
And that's the thing. I have 20 open accounts. Why not have 20 open active bank accounts?
There's no difference except
Right.
that with bank accounts, they're cash.
Right. It's very true. Either way, I don't want to. don't want to do circles or anything like that. I think the overarching theme is what specifically loans in general, and it's something we really haven't really touched on at all in the podcast. And I think it's very interesting.
Brief moments here and there.
Brief moments, and I think
we've talked finance before. on this
we have,
podcast,
but specifically loans, and if we were to stop doing loans, what the implications would be, which we really don't know. But just to have a fancy about it, I think that's pretty cool to imagine a world where it's more regulated with loans on how you get them and how it could structure and make things cheaper as opposed to more expensive, because we're literally living in a life where things are getting more and more expensive. I bought my house 2.5 years ago. It is now valued $40,000 more than it was when I bought it.
That's a good
You know
thing.
what
That's
I'm
also
saying?
property. That's
Yeah. But still, you see, everything's getting more expensive. I mean, the same house. It's the same house. I've done a little updating, So it's crazy.
I don't think enough people evaluate themselves like thoroughly enough.
Not at all.
Okay. So like whenever I was doing my build, right? I said this on Saturday. I was like, man, I don't want to do this. Even though I have the money, I did not build my PC on a loan. I paid for it in cash because I had the cash. I would never get on a loan for something that is just some pleasure shit, which is my PC. I was like, man, I'm a little worried about it because I'm being excited about it right now. Because that is the biggest red flag for me in any purchase, in any big purchase. The biggest red flag you should have is the fact that you're excited about it and you want it right now. Nobody ever thinks about this. Man, you just saw something super early on and you're super excited about it and you want it right now. You're basing shit off your emotions right now. Guess what I can guarantee about your emotions? They're going to change. Honestly, the same way that I'm probably going to feel about my PC. We've even had conversations about this today. I'm super protective about the PC that I just built. I'm worried about drinks being around it, all this shit. Man, 6 months from now,
side of it's going to get scratched. It's going to come. It's like if my
Yeah,
phone. If my phone
it's
drops
gonna
right
get
now and
beat up.
cracks, it's a phone. It happens.
your emotions will change about this. You should not be making big purchases, especially getting loans on something based on emotion. Or what I was saying as far as ego goes. But it's probably more emotion than ego. Maybe I need to switch it up. But that's the biggest thing. If you feel emotionally
But
heightened,
Jesse, listen to what you're saying. What you're saying right now will never reach an 18-year-old head's mind, and at all.
Well, that's
No,
why we're
no,
saying it,
no.
because hopefully
Yeah.
it does.
And even if you told an 18-year-old exactly what you're saying, they're gonna be like, "Nah, I'm good." That's just how 18-year-olds' minds are driven, especially
18-year-old males, if they're anything, I'm assuming we come from the same, like,
ecosystem.
yeah, just 18-year-old males don't give a shit if you want something.
Yeah.
And then
Invincible.
all you got to do is
Invincible.
sign a piece of paper. You don't give a shit
dude.
about the future.
Boom.
18-year-old males are very in the moment, too much in the moment, and they have not experienced enough shit to put them outside to where you can start having future aspects on what you're doing in life.
I wish-
as far as your, I mean, all the way from who you decide to be interconnected with socially, from how you spend money, from everything. Males, and not to dog on my own sex here, but we definitely fucking just are really bad about being just strictly in the fucking moment, and this fucking feels right now. We're very emotionally, egotistically fucking
Just
driven.
not good when it comes to finances at 18.
No, not at all.
No,
No,
not
I
good
made
at
that,
all.
dude. I've always said
Dude, I wanted a 1967 fucking SS.
I want a '67 Chevelle SS. That would be dope, or '69.
Dude, anything within that. God damn
No,
it.
so I'm gonna go
can't
back.
afford that shit.
I'm gonna go
Even
back
right
to when
now,
I was
can't
20
afford
real
that
quick.
fucking shit.
I wish I could change the past because I had the same thing. Actually, I wasn't 20. I was 19. When I was 19, I made the mistake of doing the car payment thing. I made this. So like when I'm making fun of my friends earlier, they know that I've told them I've made the same mistake. When I was 19 years old, I went out and bought a $28,000 car and paid ridiculous interest rates and had to pay it off over a course of 6 years. In hindsight, if there's one piece of advice I want an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old out there to take, it's that you don't need it. Your emotions change about after a couple of months. You're like, okay, it's a car. And that if I would have taken that money that I spent over those 6 years on a car that I didn't absolutely need, and it was even more money because of the interest rate, and I just put that in the stock market, man, I'd have an extra like $40,000 right now.
That's crazy, man. That's insane.
You have to come to the realization that what you really want in this moment will eventually become something old.
Yep.
Probably quicker than what you expect it to be. Oh my God, these new fucking mid-top, like, fucking Air Jordans. I'm fucking looking. Do they even make fucking mid-top Jordans? I don't even know, dude. I don't even have.
I don't see why
I'm
not.
somewhere like.
I want to switch this, man. I'm
This-
sorry. I don't mean to cut it off, man. But we've been 30 minutes on finance. I'm sorry.
No,
I wanna
it's
switch it.
important.
It
so,
is.
so have a final generalization of what we've been talking about. Can I hit it? real
Yeah,
quick?
100%, man.
Material possessions are not nearly as important as what your finances are, because your finances represent your work and what you're putting into. Now, we could get into shit about whether or not that's imbalanced with the society that we live in. We're not going to get into that. But realize it is your work and effort being put into something, and your ego should not be put into it, because your ego changes, and what you think is what you need today is not going to be
Not
what
what
you
you need.
want 6 months from now. I guarantee you won't give a shit about the pair of jeans, or the TV that you fucking buy, or the PC that you fucking buy,
But
or
you-
even the car, because you become acclimated to it.
You'd love to have that $800
have
back,
to-
though.
Yep.
So, exactly. So, I hope I made a good generalization
No, it
of,
was-
of that whole thing.
I think that 30-minute
It's
segment.
very important.
That 30 minutes was just, it was very much needed, honestly.
And I hope any young men out here listening to that do not go out and buy that car on your $35,000 a year salary, and you decide that you absolutely need that Scion, which are trash fucking cars. They're
I'll give it,
gross.
I'll end it on this. man.
Scions, they don't even make Scions anymore, bro.
There's an employee.
Oh well, that makes even more sense to what I said.
There's
So
an
that works.
there's an employee that works where we work at, and she really wanted to buy a new car, and she's like, you know what, my transmission's going out, my it's done, like it's gonna cost, it's like, for her it was like $600, you know, because her dad knew someone, they switched it out, and she's like, I really want to get this new car. And I'm like, dude, like you have no payments on this
Just
car.
spend the $600.
Yeah, and that's what I told her, and that's what she did. So I
Good,
fucking affected
good.
someone's life, man. It feels good. And at the same time, if there are later problems, and I told her, I was like, hey, I'm not saying that you're not going to have issues with this car later on. But I was like, right now, if I were you, this is what I would do. And I'm not, you know, she did it, and the car works just fine now. And I'm just like, that's what's up.
That also comes down to a lot of finance, which, man, we should not. You wanted to transition.
Yeah,
Which
and
I
we
want to
will.
transition, but also you need to have a safety net.
Yeah, let's
savings.
not. Yeah.
That's we've talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's still super important.
Hey,
But okay,
what
I'm gonna
about-
go outside. I'm
what-
gonna go piss.
What about, okay, we're going to transition. You're going to go outside and take a pee-pee? What a little baby boy, man.
You know me. I'm always like.
Yeah, you'll segue right into this right when you walk in, though. So, I'm not really trying to go down the like I said at the beginning of the podcast. I don't want to talk about what we've talked. You know, majority of what our podcast is, but I'm just trying to realize a world without police and what that would be like.
This is exactly what we weren't going to talk about, but I like it. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying go down extremely hardcore and do all that. I'm just specifically talking about what a world without police would be like.
I actually legitimately had this conversation less than an hour ago with Savannah at the house, because we were talking about the same stuff that we mentioned a few podcasts ago with Dan. Check out that podcast with Dan where we talk about the Second Amendment, your constitutional rights, the militia, and being a good neighbor and everything, where people these days do not... If you had a neighbor moving across the street, did you really, like, invite them over for dinner and stuff, or did you just like, oh, look, new neighbors, and then forget all about it? Because we don't do that shit anymore.
Right.
But no, to get back to your thing without police, like I said, literally had this conversation earlier. And Jesse might have been there for it when Savannah was there. I don't know.
But
You don't need... Imagine where we live at now. Imagine where you live, Paul, and all the people you knew were around you. Your neighbor is Jesse. I'm your neighbor on the other side. Jordan's on that side. You got whoever, everyone
Blake,
we know. Marita,
everyone,
Sarah, Blake, everybody.
It'd be dope as fuck, man.
Everybody. But hold up. You can have that right now without us living here by being nice to your neighbors and getting your community together. And then guess what? Instead of calling the police when someone breaks in, you now call, once again, Second Amendment, everybody should be armed to protect themselves and others. You can call any one of your neighbors who have your back, just like you have their back. You don't need the police at that point.
So do you think, like, where these spots are happening now, where they're talking about defunding the police and stuff like that, do you think that that's what's going on in those communities? Is just specifically what you're talking about right now?
First off, I want to address the whole defunding the police factor. It does not... They've picked a terrible word for that because it does not mean to defund the police. It does not mean taking funding away from them, even though that's what everybody thinks. That is not what it actually means.
Well, in Los Angeles, they came out and the mayor, the governor of Los Angeles, and even the police chief said that they want to cut the budget by $125 million.
Okay, but the whole defunding is talking about... I hate that word because they could have used so many better words that'll actually get people on board.
Yeah, cut
and
the
now
budget
they're scaring away people. No, you're talking about a transition, changing the policy, changing the way police work. Not
Right.
defunding, not getting rid of police.
For sure.
Changing the way things work, though.
Yeah. But to what you just said, do you think that in those spots that are happening right now, that's probably most likely a way to offer something different than having people police your community?
So, like, you're talking about... I mean, man, I didn't want to get into this. We talked about this outside. But, like, Seattle, there's the big thing right now where they've taken over the police office police office.
7-block radius.
Police...
Chaz.
What's the word I'm looking for? Police station.
Yeah.
The police station,
Precinct.
whatever, in an area, and it literally says they like spray painted it instead of like Seattle Police Department, it says Seattle People's Department or whatever, and they're not letting police back in. And some people are freaking out about that. You know what though? I bet everybody who's in that building and running it and stuff is helping each other, and like nobody's attacking them. And if somebody did, they're protecting themselves. I'm just so sick of everybody sitting back and letting stuff happen on the wayside when it's like you really can be there for other people. And if you go out of your way, and I'm being hypocritical because I've not done this thing myself. Once again, this is a do what I say, not what I do kind of situation, unfortunately. But if you go out of your way to be friends with your neighbors, to make real connections with your neighbors, and not just, I don't mean neighbors like the guy next door, I mean your community as a whole.
Right.
Your fellow man around you who is there. If you're all on the same page, you build a small community, whatever, and take care of each other, then in theory, you don't need the police. Because,
very true.
Because do you really need the police to write you a fucking ticket for a stop sign violation?
No.
No. Sure, ambulances, fire department, yeah. Which, when I was hanging out with my friend earlier today, volunteer for the fire department, I just learned something that I never knew, and this is amazing to me. The town he lives in, the entire fire department is volunteer.
Right.
And that happens a lot, apparently. I didn't know this.
I have a buddy, too, who's a volunteer firefighter.
But I thought it was like semi-volunteer, semi-fully staffed. No, like their entire town is volunteer. They have several people who are on notice and have a fucking thing. They don't get paid for it. It's all volunteer. And then if worst comes to worst, nobody from that town can show up, they call the next town over, which would suck. But I don't know. I feel like people are good inside and you want to look out for your fellow man. But the way we live our lives right now, through everything, through media, advertising, the way we're raised, even, not to blame our parents here, but everything that affects us, I feel like we've been pushed away from helping our fellow man.
100%, man. 100%.
When we should. And if everybody just looked out for each other and you gave a shit about another person, so much would be solved. Jesse brings it up all the time. Putting your shopping carts back. Little things like opening the door for someone. But I mean, we work in a restaurant, and the amount of times that people act like the literal end of the world is happening, Ragnarok, the apocalypse, and that the roof is caving in because their food came out 5 minutes later than they wanted to. Think about all the cooks, the servers, everybody. Like, these are all people too. Like, give a shit about them. And I'm using a terrible example by bringing up the restaurant.
It's a great example, though, man.
Man, everybody is so stuck in their own fucking world, in their own life, to where everybody else.
They have blinders on. They have this absolute, undeniable blinders on. This is the path that I'm walking, and everybody else is just for me. Everybody else is just for me while I'm here. Which we can live that lifestyle here in America.
We have for a very long time.
I mean, that's what is fed to us so much.
That's the problem.
So everything we've talked about in previous podcasts, we've found out the true origins of the problem.
Through, by the way, this isn't through just general social interaction. I mean, this is what has been bred into people from a bunch of like social media and all the bullshit that they've been fucking listening to, and they've gotten away from the fact that we are all interconnected. And that if you push somebody this way negatively, oh, it's never going to affect me negatively this way. When I truly believe it does. Which that comes into the karma fucking aspect of things. You cannot live a life of peace just rolling over fucking people and making your own fucking way. That's not how fucking shit works.
The top 1% do that, Jesse. Karma doesn't exist. Johnny, I'm there with you now.
Okay.
I'm there with you now. Karma does not exist. It doesn't. There's no way, man. You misheard me.
You misheard me. Can I talk? Can I talk?
1 second.
Let me fucking talk.
Unless karma forgets about the top 1%. Now you can talk.
No. What you misheard me on, was a life of peace. A life of peace. Those people do not live a life of peace.
We don't know what the fuck those people live. Continue. Sorry.
Can I talk for a second? A life of peace. How you know an individual has a life of peace is they have no more wanting. No more wanting. The same way that you upgrade. I'm probably gonna do this super poorly, but I'm gonna do my best job at this. Whenever you make an attempt to upgrade something, then something else has to be upgraded. So, like, if I'm working on my car, right, and I switch out the turbo, then all this other shit needs to be changed. Now, oh, shit, well, now I can do this. It's this never-ending focus on getting something, getting somewhere. The problem is, you don't even realize it, you're right here.
Man, that has nothing to do with karma.
Hold on. Yes, absolutely it does.
No.
100% it does.
Please explain.
The biggest issue with people is ego. I explained it in the last segment whenever we were talking about finance or whatever, and this is a good segue into this. People have huge egos. Ego. Me, this. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. All this. And you become this never-ending. There is no end. There is no end. Fuck, man. I'm going to fuck this up. And there's going to be a bunch of people pissed off at me because I could be doing this a lot fucking better than what I'm doing right now. So let me say this. Do not focus on what you can obtain so much as far as physical fucking shit. Focus on what you can understand, and the more you try to get outside of that and focus on what, not physical shit, what you can understand, you will end up being in this place of, man, the more I want, the more the want spirals into just more wanting. This is how you get Jeff Bezos, man. This is how you fucking get individuals with so much fucking power, and all they want to do is get more power, and their eyes are fucking rolling in their fucking heads right now because all they know is to go forward and more and more and more. They never took a second to just step back and go and exhale and go, where am I? Where am I? Where's my place in this universe? What am I doing right now? That's important. Why is my wanting so important? Wanting is the never-ending cycle of disparity. In my absolute opinion, and it's hard for me to say because I still do the same shit. I'm still materialistic.
Everybody does. Everybody's human.
Yeah.
No, I'm still materialistic. I'll say that right now. I'm not some fucking Buddhist fucking mentality here right now, but 100%. The more you want, the more it takes you down. At some point, you have to be happy with you. Not your objects. Not your fucking... Not anything else. Just you. Screw everybody around you. Screw the mic. Screw the fucking mic in front of you. Screw the headphones. I'm talking to myself here for a little bit. Fuck my ego, because it takes a little bit of ego to be in front of a mic. We won't ever talk about this, but this is a little bit of ego-driven thing that we do here every Sunday. It's hard. we have to get away from this and just be okay with ourselves. The fact that we're wanting so much is the fact that we're lacking so much within ourselves. And we have not really spent enough time with ourselves to figure out who we are in our placement in this fucking universe.
Jesse, I'm going to stop you for a second because you've been ranting for a second and going in circles the last second. I believe in everything you said. Once again, that doesn't answer my question about how that has anything to do with karma, but I'm going to move on from that.
Yes.
No,
please.
I can explain that. I can explain that.
You were supposed to over the last 10 minutes.
We're good. Johnny, we're talking about...
So I'm going to say something about karma real quick.
I know I fucked that up, and I feel really
No, you didn't fuck
bad.
it up. You didn't
I
fuck
know
it
I
up,
bro.
man.
fucked it
You're good.
You talked a lot of good truth right there, man.
And-
or a lot of good knowledge. My bad.
And Paul, real quick, this is for editing purposes. What time are we at?
We're at 50 minutes, my man.
50? Okay, I need to know that for editing. I'm about to say something that I'm going to cut out of the podcast real quick, and that's because I'm going to do a humble brag, and I don't like doing that. I don't mind doing it in front of them, but I don't want to do it in front of you guys because that's not my goal in life is to get my own ego fucking going. So I'm going to cut it out. But real quick.
Don't cut it out, man.
No, I don't. I really do hate that.
You're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
We've not cut a lot of shit out in the podcast.
Well, I'm going to say it anyways.
Okay. So can I speak on this?
There's no way to disprove or...
Everybody who's ever listened to this podcast, and
And I'm going to edit this back in now, so here we go.
No, you got to leave it, Johnny.
Dude, I hate that. I'm not going to leave that in there.
You got to, man.
That's not good. I don't like...
Bro, we all do
Anyways,
good things.
continue,
man.
Jesse.
You said it for a reason. And everything that's said is always said for a reason. The one thing that I talk about as far as like, because you can get into this argument like, why do good things happen to bad people? Why do really why do the 1% who are probably doing horrible things fucking get away with their shit? We're all interconnected. So this is the mentality that I have. The karma that I have, like if I do some shit, man, there's some weird philosophy here as far as, do you ever do anything selfless? That's a really big one for me that I struggle with because like literally today, like I saw, like I'll kind of back up your shit, not nearly as much whatever you said, but I saw a dude who I was on my way to Micro City, and I was gonna get the 5-volt RGB like splitter that I needed, and there was a dude on 155th and North Scott, and he was holding up a sign. And I handed him $5. I was like, dude, you staying cool out here? He's like, no, man, it's really hot. And I'm like, man, just hang in there, man. And I almost felt bad about the money that I gave him. But I think you miss out on the fact that it's also egotistical to think about me doing really good deserves really good reactions.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So the difference is you could do really bad on the same opposite spectrum, like being really bad and all of a sudden they get really positive.
There's no time limit
Shit.
on it, on when it's going to happen.
But the whole thing is you have to have the fundamental understanding. And this is what karma really connects us all. And I've never read the oh man, fuck, what's it called? I literally have the books at my house, but I've never fucking read them. I feel like a dumbass right now. Basically, the whole point is you can do really evil things and prosper, and you can do really good things and suffer. But the whole point is we're interconnected. We are interconnected. We don't know anything else outside of that. And if that is the life that you live, and if you're doing right though, and you're sacrificing, there is positive to that. The people that are on the other end will not fucking flourish, 100%. Even though it looks like this is the big issue. Like, man, I'm sorry, I'm a little fucking faded right now. The people I'm gonna focus on the evil right now. So in my opinion, the evil is like the 1%. Like the 1%, the overall arching, just absolute, just absorption of wealth in this progression of, you know what I talked about whenever I said oh man, you start chasing after wanting, and
Right.
you never take time to just. I'm here, and this is who I am, and I don't need any more. I don't need any more. The wanting is the worst thing that can happen to you, realistically. Wanting only causes fucking problems. Once you can be okay with thyself and knowing thyself is very important. Fuck me.
I don't
No,
know.
that's I get what you're saying, man. That all of that makes sense, and people forget to do all of what you just said.
I know
When
I'm
it
fucking
comes to karma, I don't know really know where you're going with that, but the way what you were just explaining, it was very peaceful, man. It was very peaceful. The amount of want that people want in the United States, this
consumption.
is
Consumption.
yeah. That's bad, man. And
Step back.
America has been that way. It's the civilized West. That's what we want. That's what we've been doing for such a long time, dude. Like, we have it extremely good, like we've all talked about, with electricity, running water, gas. You can buy a house and live comfortably with your family. But for the fact that you continuously want and want and want and want, and Jesse, you just made me realize, man, and this is why I love doing this podcast, is the fact that, man, I have three beautiful girls upstairs right now that I sometimes I lose sight with the want that you're talking about, because I want more, because I want them to be happy later on, when in all actuality I have what I want. And so it's 3 girls, man, and just they make me happy. There's nothing truly that I could ever have or purchase or take a loan out for that would make me any more happier than what those 3 girls could bring me each and every single day of my life. We lose sight of that, man. That's what we lose sight of. And I know that you guys can't put it into perspective like that because you don't have kids, but you guys have each other. You have a girlfriend. Johnny, you know what I'm saying, man? I have you guys. And I have you.
Not to sound fucking weird. I feel interconnected with Paul. I feel interconnected with fucking Johnny. I feel interconnected with everybody that I fucking interact with. Even sometimes it's negative, though. It is never this... Oh, man, I should just let you fucking hit it off.
Yeah, dude, you and I got into it last week. We got into it last week.
I should have smoked some weed for this one.
After the
This little segment, if I would have hit some fucking weed, I'd be 100%. Because I guarantee you, I know how I feel internally about this whole thing. I'm very passionate about this. And it is so much outside of this. This goes away. This mic will go away. Right? Like we are fucking here, though. Like, we are here. What's important? The camera, your fucking car, how big your fucking house is? No. Guess what? I guarantee you, in the end, when you're on your fucking deathbed, you're not going to be thinking about the objects that you fucking owned, the car you fucking drove. You're going to be worried about the relationships that you fucking held with the people that are here on this planet.
Which is what we lose sight of each and every single day.
I know. No, that's the ego fucking bullshit that we've been put into our heads. From almost birth.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm 91. I'm 91. What are you, 89?
Yeah.
You're 89. I'm 91. You're probably 90. Man, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about how we interact with each other and how can you be okay with yourself. You're almost self-supplementing this fucking internal fucking issue that you have. Whenever you're just trying to fucking get more and more and more, and how much money can I get? And don't get me wrong, I talk about finance because I think finance is important. But finance is not the first thing. Finance is not the first thing. Spirituality comes second. After, what did I say?
Mental health.
Mental health. Your mental health, your spirituality, and then your finance fucking comes in.
That should be taught in schools right there. 100%, man. And the first two aren't taught at all.
No.
Finance is barely. So those 3 things not taught.
Did I really say mental health?
You did.
It's going to sound really bad. I said mental health.
You did.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Mental health is extremely important.
You also said mental health and spirituality are kind of one. They're kind of tied.
They are tied. And then finance comes in a weird third place. Quit wanting so much. I know it's hard for anybody to fucking hear. And especially for me, because I was like, oh my God, I fucking just got this sexy ass fucking gaming PC.
But you can want, but Jesse, I mean, and everyone can make that decision, and we're not saying that it has to be
you have
the
to
way.
realize it is finite. We live finite. We are finite.
We're not saying
think about the fucking shit you purchase. the shit you purchase only lasts like 6 months in general, unless you're talking about a car or a fucking house. Everything else is like 6 months, and you're like, oh, I'm over it. I'm over it. I want the new one. Oh, I want the new one. Everything changes. Everything changes. You also change too with it. Why not focus on what's the most important? Yourself. And not being egotistical within this mentality, but how we apply ourself to each other. God damn it, man! That sounds fucking.
It's beautiful,
wonky.
man.
No,
It's
it
beautiful.
sounds wonky. No, it's wonky as fuck.
No, I
I'm
think
not okay
there's
with
there's
that.
a lot
I'm
of
okay with
there's
that.
a lot of good shit that came with what tonight had to offer, man. And if anyone has anything different to say, I'd love to hear it. Honestly, there's a lot of things we all need to work on as individuals,
Everybody.
man.
And we're all hypocritical as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
we can all give advice and then not follow it
And
ourselves.
regardless of in any of like exactly what you just said, Johnny, in to say something different to that, it's like if you were to just honestly focus on that, I think that you would be a better person. And it's very hard to do that. It's extremely hard because we're all in this environment that we want. And if we didn't live in that environment, or we at least tried to live a different life towards what Jesse, what you're talking about, I think you will be spiritually more at peace. Or you might live a better life. I could be wrong. Some people might get off on living on want.
No.
But in the end, I think it's a detriment, and this is what you see with our society right now.
Realistically, I think they crave it too. That spiritual sense of being at peace. Literally, whenever I talked about earlier, like being at peace, everybody just wants to everything's okay. I've only had a handful of times in my life to where I legitimately had moments of, I'm talking about this inner perspective feeling of my family, myself, how I interact with my friends or community, however you want to place it.
Friends.
Where where I am, to where I legitimately felt at peace.
We're far.
Only a handful of fucking times.
We're far away from community, honestly.
Yeah.
I do not feel that way right now. It honestly, that came through a little bit of psychedelics, to be honest with you. There was some overwhelming feeling. And man, I think we're super fucking far off, to be honest with you, whenever it comes to our individual experiences and what we're talking about right now. But everything is intertwined, because like from what I said before, everything is fucking intertwined. And regardless of what we're doing, it's happening. It's happening. This moment's happening. Me in front of the mic is happening. Whoever is viewing this is happening right now. This is momentary. Momentary, exactly where it needs to be. And this is also karma, too, on top of it. It's
You
not-
believe in that if you want, man.
Yeah. I think
No, I do fucking believe in it. I do believe in it. Because everything has its position in the fucking universe.
Let's go
man.
with that, man. Let's go with that. Johnny, you got any lasting thoughts,
No,
man?
shit on it. Shit on it. Shit on it.
I was
shit on it,
about
Johnny.
to take 2 minutes to shit on karma
Do
in
it,
a
man.
different way.
Do it.
Only thing is, Jesse, don't interrupt me during this because you're going to hate what I'm about to say. I think that your belief in karma is similar to anybody's belief in religion, in a sense of you believing in it and thinking that karma has an effect on things makes you feel better about the way the world actually is. You don't like the way the world is, just like most people don't like the way the world is. You don't like to see the evil in the world. But at least if karma exists, it's not as bad, right? Because karma's out there to take care of some things, which is the same as religion. I am scared of death, so I believe in religion because heaven sounds amazing. Not out of any rational or logical decision, but about an emotional fear. And I believe that is the same as your view in karma. That's my honest opinion.
That didn't take 2 minutes, bro.
There's nothing. There's nothing wrong
Let's
with
leave
that.
it-
And
let's
they didn't rattle my fucking bones.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you wouldn't
By-
like it
by any
because I
means.
compared it to religion and I know how you feel about
One,
religion.
Hey.
one thing I really. Oh wait, you're probably trying to.
No, you're
polish
good.
It off.
You're good.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine. If I could
We'll leave it at
rebuttal.
that, man. We'll let you guys, dude. That was awesome podcast, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. The biggest thing you can do is honestly just like the video if you truly liked it. Honestly, hit
Dislike it.
Yeah, or even dislike
Fuck
it. If you didn't like it,
Fuck
dislike it. But if you dislike it, please just put a comment on why you disliked it. That's truly all I ask.
Something simple. Wow,
Yeah.
y'all are idiots.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
Johnny
good enough
and
for me.
Johnny and I can easily respond and be like, well, why are we idiots? And then we watch the video, then we understand why you said it.
I'm just gonna type out agree.
I just built a PC. I might be able to do some work on this podcast too and really fuck it up. So,
Yeah.
really fuck it up.
Fuck yeah, man. Anyways, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. To all our junkies out there,
Stay fly and ring the bell.